Coming to fourth question. So fourth question is on leadership. So leadership is seen as dealing with change, whereas administration is viewed as coping with the complexity. Alright, in this context, discuss the contextuality of leadership and administration for the success of an organization. Alright, so question is about two things. Right, leadership and administration. Remember, previously for 2 times question was asked on difference between leader and administrator. Alright, so earlier questions were asked on leader and administrator. Even I wrote the answer on this question of leader and administrator. For the first time this was asked in 2008 mains. Right, leadership is seen as, so now the question is about leadership and administration. Leadership and administration. Now leaders can become administrators, administrators can become leaders based upon the context. So it is that context, it is the context in which the administrators are functioning. It is a context in which the leaders are discharging their functions. It is this context which will define their roles. Alright, so now if you look at the question, alright, if you look at the question itself gives leadership is seen as dealing with change. So important function of a leader is to bring change. Alright, so whereas administration is viewed with the coping of complexities. So the question pinpoints, the question limits the role of a leader and the administration. So leadership, according to what you call question, is about bringing change, whereas administration is about coping with the complexity. Alright, so we need to discuss the contextuality of the leadership and administration. Alright, so here under what context the leader becomes an administrator. Alright, under what context the leader is involved in bringing change. Alright, in what context the administration is concerned with the dealing of complexities. Alright, so this is what about the context, that is we need to bring out the importance of context. So now we can take the importance of, alright, we can take the help of Fiedler's contingency theory, Fiedler's contingency model, where he has given the impact of situation, the context in which the leader works. Alright, so how a leader, when an individual becomes a leader, and what kind of functions are performed by a leader in what kind of context. Right, so favorable conditions, highly unfavorable conditions. So use this F.E. Fiedler's contingency model and distinguish favorable conditions and unfavorable conditions. Alright, then moderate conditions. Alright, so these are 3 different contexts, or these are 3 different situations in which the leaders and administration works: in highly favorable condition, in highly unfavorable condition, and moderate conditions. Alright, so if you take this favorable condition, it is in these conditions, alright, leaders are mostly involved in bringing change. Change can be brought in highly favorable conditions. Alright, unfavorable conditions, right, that is the complex conditions where it is not possible to bring any kind of change, where, alright, where it is important to maintain status quo, where it is important to maintain status quo. So in highly unfavorable conditions, status quo is maintained or required. So this is what the complex conditions. Moderate conditions, right? That is, which are not too favorable or not too unfavorable, right? That means here in this, right, leader can provide adequate or sufficient space or adequate space for the followers to bring their change, right? So here change is possible and allowed. Alright, so when a person placed under favorable condition or moderate conditions, right, they can show their leadership qualities, and those placed under unfavorable conditions, alright, here they need to act like an what you call they need to maintain status quo. But the question is, can we strictly separate leadership role and administrative role? Alright, so leadership role and administrative role cannot be strictly separated because it depends upon the context in which the individual is functioning. Alright, so the individual in favorable and moderate conditions, they can show their leadership qualities, right? In complex condition, they will show the individual shows the administrator qualities, that is the qualities of an administrator. A person as an administrator and a person as a leader depends upon the contextuality or depends upon the situations in which the individual and the organization is placed. So it is the context of the organization that will determine leadership role and administrative role. So we can support our conclusion to this question should be in support of this last line. So contextuality of the organization, the contextuality of organization will determine the leadership role and administrator role, and it is this contextuality which is important for ensuring the success of organization. So understanding situation, understanding the environment in which organization is placed is an important role of a leader or an administrator. So here we are not making any difference between leader and administrator. Every administrator is a leader and every leader is an administrator based upon the conditions in which they are functioning. Alright, so let me precise on this point. So first of all, try to define what is leadership role. So define leadership. So use the definitions given by preferably by C.A. Bernard. Alright, definitions given by Hicks and Gullett. Alright, so define leadership. So use one or two statements, then bring out essential functions. Bring out the functions of a leader. Alright, with respect to change. So here as the question focus on change, so leadership role with respect to change. So leader as a change oriented function. Alright, then try to bring out what is the difference between leader and what you call administrator. Then bring out the importance of context. Alright, and make sure how this context defines, how this context differentiates leaders and administrator, and how this context makes leader as an administrator or administrator as a leader. Alright, then to answer this point, take the help of F.E. Fiedler's contingency model. Use three different contexts, that is favorable, unfavorable and moderate conditions. Then bring out the importance of context in making leader as an administrator and administrator as a leader, right? And conclude the answer that, alright, the success of an organization always depends upon understanding the situation or a context in which the organization is placed. So use some of the important quotes. Say for example, take the help of Mary Parker Follett here and conclude the answer. So this is about the fourth question. Questions, though it seems to be what you call typical, but it is very easy to understand if you are good in understanding the similarities, the relation between the functional similarity between leadership and administration. So let us move to the next question. Next question is on regulatory framework, right? So we have a topic of organizations wherein which we have this topic of independent regulatory bodies. So this question is based upon that topic. So regulatory governance framework has become essential building block for world society. Discuss their potential and impact in fulfilling the hopes and demands. Alright, so it is for 15 marks. So regulatory governance has become a building block for world society. Alright, so discuss their potential. So potential in becoming the building block, and what is the impact in fulfilling the hopes and demands of the society. So alright, so regulatory governance is the basis for world society. Alright, so now we can start our answer right from the point of why we need this regulatory governance, the need for regulatory. So what is regulatory governance? Alright, the need for regulatory governance. So here you can use what you call, alright, the impact of LPG, the impact of what you call entrepreneurial governance, alright, the impact of rollback of state, alright, and the need to protect the interest of people, rights of people, need to protection of interest, rights of people. Alright, so that is we need to bring out the need for regulatory governance. Alright, so now by highlighting this need for regulatory governance, we will address this part of the question. That is, so why regulatory governance has become an essential block of world societies. Alright, so now say we can use what you call different examples here. You can use, right, UNHCR, the best example. You can use UN as a role. Alright, WTO, it is up to us. We can use one or two examples and then give the answer. So why it be required WTO? At least from the sake of protecting the interest of the society, protect the interest of the nation. Alright, so what is the role of WTO, or WTO as a regulatory organization in protecting the interest and rights of the society, the nation. UNHCR, again the importance of UNHCR, how it protects the interest, how it regulates the state. Alright, so you can use one or two examples, alright, and discuss and show that we can use these one or two examples and show that how they are building blocks of world society. The same time, what is their potential, so what is their future role, so in the coming days what kind of role they can have in the governance system. So that is what we need to highlight. Alright, and impact, so how they are to what extent, how far they are successful in meeting the aspirations, needs of the society and people. So take the same example of UNHCR or WTO, or what you call, you take IAEA, it can be any kind of example. Just highlight how they are successful in meeting the hopes and demands of the society, right? So this should be the answer. So coming to the next question. The next question is on again the topic of accountability and control. The topic of accountability and control, the question is on social audit. All right. So social audit is not just saving the money; it creates positive impact on governance. So it is not just saving money, but it has a positive impact on governance. So first of all, define social audit. Basic features of social audit. All right. Then advantages of social audit in governance. Say simply RTA, responsiveness, transparency, accountability, people participation. So these are the basic advantages of what you call this social audit. So and here one more point, how social audit is different from financial audit, right? So what is social audit and what is the difference between social audit and financial audit? So this itself shows, this itself answers the first part of the question, that is social audit is not just saving money. So financial audit is about saving money, but social audit is beyond financial audit. That is it is not just about saving money, but at the same time it has a positive impact on governance. So this is the positive impact of governance. Alright, so then conclude the answer. So if possible, as it is for 15 marks, do take the case of NRGA and write the answer. That is, use the example of NRGA and try to complete the answer. So this will be a good answer.